Okay, we're quite a way down the piano keyboard today. For reference, middle C is here, but I've got the camera set up a little bit further to the left than usual so we can see quite a wide expanse of the bass octaves of the keyboard, okay? That's because we're going to be looking at a broken chord exercise that is going to help us to practice our use of the sustain pedal, the piano's right hand pedal. Now, if you follow my piano channel regularly here on YouTube, you'll know that last week I posted a tutorial all about the sustain pedal, and quite a few of you came back to me and asked for more exercises and drills that you can use to practice your pedaling. So this is one of them. It doesn't really matter if you haven't seen that previous tutorial, by the way, but I will add a link to it in the description text down below. So what we're going to be looking at is a broken chord exercise in the left hand. We're also going to be adding a simple right hand, and we're going to be thinking about how to pedal it and the particular foot movements and pedal movements that we need to make to produce a good sound when we're playing this kind of material on the piano. Let's check it out. Let's start out by taking a look at the basic movement we're going to be using in this exercise. We'll just start off on a chord of C major. Okay, we'll do the whole thing in C major to keep it nice and clear and simple. Here's the basic left hand pattern that we're going to use. Okay, I've held the sustain pedal down all the way through that. Let me just play it slowly again. We're going from this C here, which is 2 octaves below middle C, and we're playing C, G, C, 4th finger over onto the E, G, C, 2nd finger over to the E, and back to the C with our thumb. Let me play that again. C, G, C, E, G, C, E, C. Because I've got the sustain pedal down, I don't have to really stretch that 4th over there, okay? If I was playing it without sustain pedal, I'd have to really kind of stretch over there to keep it smooth and flowing. But because I've got the sustain pedal, I can lift off, I can kind of leap there. Look at that movement again. So I kind of play this C and snatch it off there as soon as it's hit, over onto the E with my 4th, G, C, E, C. That is the basic movement. Something important that I want you to notice here, look at how the, I'm just playing notes of the C major chord here, but look at how the notes are spaced tighter together the further up the piano keyboard I get, okay? Down here, I've left that E out. I'm just playing C, G, C. Down, when we're voicing chords, when we're building chords, what we tend to do is space them wide at the bottom and tight at the top. Okay, this is something I've made a tutorial on in the past. I'll add a link in the description text below. But basically it's because if we play too many notes close together down there, especially with the sustain pedal on, it'll sound kind of thick and muddy and confused. Okay, and that's because we've got lots of audible overtones kind of fighting with each other. Okay, I won't get into the physics of that, but that's what's basically happening. So for a good clear sound, we're spacing wide at the bottom and tighter at the top. And that's our basic movement. Now that's it on a C chord, but we're going to use 3 other chords. We're going to use A minor, F and G. So here's the same thing on an A minor chord. Okay, very much the same principle. A, E, A, C with the 4th, E, A, over to the C and back to the A. There it is. And then on the F, I might just be going out of shot down here on the F. I think you'll probably get it, but that's a lower F. F, C, F, A, C, F, A, F. And again. And then on a G chord. Yeah. And again, for each chord, I'm holding the pedal down so that I can jump fairly freely between the notes. So the whole thing is quite straightforward. C, A minor, F, G. And for the first stage of the exercise, all you need to do is really repeat that over and over. But this is where the pedal comes in. We can pedal on each chord, but we don't want to be pedaling across chords. If we played the C chord with the pedal down, and then the A minor chord without lifting the pedal, starting to get messy. Let's try the F chord again without lifting the pedal. Okay, everything's getting quite unclear. And when we add the G chord, everything's getting very rumbly and messy and muddy. Okay, so what we're going to do is pedal between chords. Let's look at how that works. I'll take it quite slowly. Yeah. What you probably noticed that I was doing is I played the C chord to start with, pedal all the way down, but then my hand moved down, pedal still down on the depressed, and as soon as I hit the first note of the second chord, simultaneous with that, I repedaled, which means I took my foot off the pedal and put it straight back down again. And then the same with the F. Repedal simultaneously with playing the first note of the next chord, and then with the G, and it's really important with the G because we've got what we would call tendency tones in there, well, that's particularly what the leading tone, okay, which the B, which will cause a real clash if we were pedaling that against the notes of the F chord, okay. So I'm repedaling at the start of every chord. So the first stage of the exercise, like I said, very straightforward. Pedaling on the start of each chord. Practice that, see if you can get it up to a reasonable level of speed and fluency. Don't worry if it takes a little bit of practice, okay, it might well, but get confident with it before you move on to the next stage. Okay, so the next stage is to add some right hand, but before we do, we need to understand a really important point about the sustain pedal, and I want to explain also what my piano is doing when I use the sustain pedal. The important point is that sustain pedals on different pianos have subtly different effects. If you're playing a real piano, you're going to get lots of sympathetic resonance as all the dampers come off the strings inside the piano when you depress the sustain pedal. If you kind of want an overview of how the sustain pedal works, the mechanics and the physics of it, take a look at that previous tutorial that is linked down below. Now, different digital pianos model that effect in different ways and to different extents. Okay, my Nord piano here, its onboard sound models very precisely what a real piano does. Okay, so you get the effect of sympathetic resonance, all of that kind of stuff that you would get in a real piano. However, I'm not using the onboard sound of my Nord today. I'm using my Nord as a MIDI instrument, and the actual piano sound that I'm using is software. It's really good piano sound, but it doesn't quite model things exactly the same way that a real piano would. It doesn't do things exactly the same way a real piano does. It doesn't do things exactly the same way as my Nord does. There isn't a sympathetic resonance going on, basically, or not at a noticeable level. It models other complex effects, but not the full range of effects. Now, what you get will really depend on your piano. If you are playing a real piano, you will get a very natural effect. If you're playing a higher end digital with using its own onboard sound, you might get sympathetic resonance models. If you're playing a digital or you're playing a virtual instrument like I am, you might not. And that has an effect because sympathetic resonance will create a much richer, more booming sound. Yeah. If you've got sympathetic resonance, then by and large you will have to pedal a little bit more to keep all that resonance under control. Okay. So number one rule is experiment with your own piano. Okay, I'm going to show you what's working here and give you some good general guidelines, but you need to listen, use your ears, see what works with your own piano. Okay, so with that health warning out the way, let's look at the right hand part of this exercise. It's about as simple as it gets. All we're going to do is play a C major scale over each instance of the chord in the left hand. So a C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, C, D, E, thumb under onto the F, G, A, B, C, and we're only going to be going up the scale, and we're going to be doing something like this. Okay, so I'm playing that same pattern on the C chord that we looked at a minute ago, and the C major scale going up. And then when we get to the A minor, I'm still playing a C major scale in the right. Don't worry about the kind of the music theory side of that. Let's just focus on the movement and the sound. on the F chord, and then on the G chord, which will sound a bit crunchy, but it doesn't matter. Okay, I've pedalled that all the way through there, so we are getting that slightly crunchy sound on the G, but I'll talk about how to deal with that in a second. Okay, so look at how I pedal that. I'll play it all the way through. Yeah? Did you notice that I pedalled it pretty much the same way as I pedalled just the left hand exercise only, okay? That's because the C major scale in harmonic terms marries up sufficiently well with the C chord, the A chord and the F chord that I can essentially pedal all the way through, okay? And the notes are high enough that we're not getting too many kind of complex overtones, that it's not sounding muddy. But look at what I did on the G chord. Watch again. Okay, and again. Do you notice that I repedaled just very slightly in the middle of playing the broken chord in the left? If I didn't do that, things are starting to get just a little bit too messy. Okay, so I repedaled. Now, something that I might do that, especially if I was playing a real piano, is what we would call half pedal. In other words, not lift the pedal fully up. Okay, that would just have the effect in a real piano of pulling the dampers, of putting the dampers slightly back on the string, but and enough to kill quite a few of the overtones that we're getting, but not all of them. So we would still have that kind of sense of bass continuity, but without too much muddiness. And this software library actually models that, so I can do that, you know, reasonably accurately. Here we go. That was a half pedal. If I'd done a full pedal, can you hear how completely lifting off the pedal took away the bass there? Yeah, let me do that again for contrast with half pedal. Okay, and then with full pedal. Okay, I should say that when I'm actually holding the pedal down, it's down all the way. When we talk about half pedal or full repedal, it's about how far we pull off and push back down again. Okay, so the next stage is to practice though, you know, that exercise and try and get it up to a reasonable speed. Always aim for a kind of clarity of sound, and like I said, on your own piano you might need to handle the pedaling differently depending on how it works and how it sounds. Okay, I left the pedal slightly later in the G chord there. Again, it created a slightly different effect. Okay, so that's quite a simple exercise really. It's not necessarily easy. It might take you a little bit of time to put together, but it will help you to improve your pedaling skills and also help you to work on your hand independence a little bit, because obviously when you're playing the full exercise, left and right hands are doing different things. Do focus on accuracy when you're jumping. Okay, well, I don't want to hear too much splashiness there, so try and land accurately on the notes. And even though it's an exercise, always aim for as musical a sound as you can possibly create. Okay, if you found that useful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. Links are all below. And please do check out my books and piano packs, okay? I've added links to those in the little YouTube cards that pop up in the top right hand corner, and I'll also add a clickable link on screen at the end here, probably to my piano packs actually, which have been incredibly popular with my Patreon supporters who I initially made them for. So do check those out. Oh, and do check out my Patreon as well over at patreon.com/Bill Hilton. Once again, there's a link below. Brilliant. Enjoy that exercise. I'll see you next time.